So even though I said I didn't need to be reminded, I still got reminded. The victim may not be one off, but he's a noble man, and straight up, there's no reason to doubt the man. Well, there are plenty of people in London who seem noble but poor. Could some of them also be liars? I have no doubt about it. Like that shaky client of yours, for example? Absolutely not. Mr. Natsume is not a liar. Look, the point is, the only thing that passed the victim's lips that night was that Japanese man's tea. Would you take the gas man's testimony into account as well? The truth couldn't be any clearer. Well, that's alarmingly logical. But let me be frank here. I am a gentleman with a gentleman's values. If it turns out that the old Shakespearean chum is a rotten liar after all, I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. And I'm sure my fellow gentlemen on the jury would do the same. Isn't that right? Well, yes, perhaps, though I don't see it happening. Hey, what's that? Elderly gent on the end here, you know. You'll have to speak up. Look, I really don't care about this nonsense. I just need this trial to be over. How many gentlemen do we actually have on the jury, then? Alright, sir, I may hold you to that. Don't forget what you said. Huh. Alright, if you can show me that the victim is a liar, I'll reconsider my position. Well, I do declare the good gentleman has a reason to lie. In fact, I think he is rather splendid. Hold it! Are you saying you believe the man to be trustworthy because he's rather splendid? No, that's not what I said. The point is, the man is the victim here. What reason would he have to lie? And yes, he is rather splendid. So you say, yet again. Meanwhile, the man who stands accused behaves so suspiciously. It's exhausting to look at him. I'm afraid he's not splendid at all. Splendid logic there, madam. Thank you so much. Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, and has a mustache. Very fishy. Hold it! No, not one of those things is a reason to find the man guilty. But he is fishy. There's no point dancing around the fact. He's Japanese, he has a mustache, and he stoops. You see, you arrive at the conclusion in just 3 steps. 3 steps. Like a waltz, in fact. You know, the more I think about it, the more this trial seems like a dance. You seem to be several steps ahead of yourself, though, and you're on the wrong foot. No, there's nothing but circumstantial evidence here. There's no actual proof of the defendant's guilt. But the victim's version of events is backed up by what the big-chinned man next to him is saying, isn't it? 1, he saw the Japanese man there. 2, he saw no one else. And 3, he saw the Japanese man there. Oh, that's another 3 steps. All this really does seem more and more like a waltz, doesn't it? Right, and the prosecution will waltz its way to victory if I let you speak much more. There's no evidence to suggest the gangly actor is a fraudsman. For now, at least. Hold it! A fraudsman? What do you mean by that, madam? It really is a most tiresome problem for the company. Most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence, we can't even threaten to take action for fear of being sued. I'm sorry, you've lost me a little there. Who are you? I am the wife of Augustus Altamount, owner of the Altamount Gas Company. Good gracious! Altamount Gas, you say? Gas is the future of energy in this country and around the globe, but proper handling is essential. As I'm sure our employee from the East End branch office would be the first to agree. Absolutely, Lady Quimby. Gotta be used properly. Altamount Gas is the best of the world, of course. Oh, I think we may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, he bowed in deference to his employer's wife, did he? So, would I be right in assuming that the reason Mr. Meterman was watching what Mr. Shamspeare was up to in his room? I'm afraid that there is no end to the lengths of the population of the East End. I'm afraid there's no end to the lengths of the population of the East End will go to in order to steal. There's a lot of twos in here. I'm afraid that there's no end to the lengths the population of the East End will go to in order to steal our gas. So I really have no choice when the company identifies somebody as a possible fraudsman, but to dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night. We're very thorough in our investigations. So you mean Mr. Shamspeare is... I wouldn't come out and say it in public, but you can finish that sentence with a grubby little gas thief. You have noticed the public gallery in here, have you?
The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. Faith, wouldst thou wound me with thy words, were I to let them penetrate the skin. But seraphs hear not insult, only choirs of angels in song.
We may not have evidence yet, but my workers won't stop buzzing around you until they find it. And when they do, you'll find yourself blasted back to your angelic heights in an ultimate gas explosion. So Mr. Shamspeare has been stealing gas. I wonder, juror number 4, if you wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement. My pleasure. Was it the bit about ripping that thief apart you enjoyed? A little before the part about abject violence, if it's not too much trouble. Yes, of course. This could be it. This could shift the balance. The victim puts on fine performance, but in reality he's a common thief of my company's gas.
Hold it!
That's a bold claim. How can he be so sure? It's really very simple.
Noble lady of gas, I pray thee, hold thy tongue.
I beg your pardon?
Hath that rank odor there that doth our darkness illuminate any place in this assembly? Nay, 'tis of sole import here that someone wouldst extinguish the light of mine own life. Verily, I recall stealing thy gas, but pray, let the matter rest till anon.
Why, you little...
Beg your pardon, my lady, but might I suggest you don't say any more at this stage? We need hard evidence first. If I keep secretly watching this bloke, I'll get him in the end. He'll slip up.
Do you think maybe that secret's out of the bag? Oh, this is so frustrating. I really don't care, I just need this drug and quickly. You keep talking about needing to take home some money. What's that all about, sir? Finish less, that's what it's about. What's that? I'm talking about the Derby at Hyde Park, aren't I? It was the Queen's Cup last week, wasn't it? A Derby? It was a dead cert, that's the thing. I couldn't lose, so I took my wife's secret savings, But then, that hopeless old mare went and did the unthinkable. Stupid finish last. Oh dear, I think it's clear what happened, isn't it? This is the day the missus uses her savings for a trip down the pub. So come on, let this business lie now. Just give it up. No, that's not gonna happen. 3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know. Nothing at all. What do you really mean by that, sir? Well, I'm not one to boast, but I get up at 5 every morning, I do. At 5? You're a really early riser then, aren't you? What's that now? I said you're an early riser. Oh, well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I like to while away the hours in the evening reading books as well. But by about 2 in the morning, I'm usually too tired to go on. He sleeps at 2 in the morning and gets up at 5? Oh my, that means he has only 3 hours of sleep each night. What's that, dear? Only 3 hours of sleep each night. That's right, you see. 3 hours of missing time. Like I said, it's not much, is it? This really isn't helping. The key to summation examinations is identifying the contradictions between jurors' statements, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, and once I've found 2 jurors whose statements can't coexist, I need to pit those jurors against each other. Then hopefully, when they see that what they're saying doesn't make sense, they'll change their leaning. Yes, and if you're able to change the minds of a majority of the jurors, the trial will continue. But conversely, if you're unable to do that, the judge will declare the trial over and move to education. And I can't let that happen. Somehow or other, I have to turn this trial around. Maybe this with this? Actually, I'm gonna go for the safe one. Let's try this with this.
Objection.
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! To whose statements do you refer, Kenzel? Juror number 1. Aye? What are you yelling about, lad? I presume you've heard juror number 4's statement, made by the wife of the owner of Altamart Gas? Well, yes. The victim, who you claim to be a noble, straight-up man, in fact, turns out to be a common thief. So the good lady says, well, there's no evidence, is there? You and I both heard them say as much. It's true, we don't have evidence as such, just yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know. What? You heard me, seeing as his operation has already been compromised. I would suggest that the court hears testimony from our East End branch office employee over there. I'll do whatever you say, my lady. Gasman's honor. Juror number 1, you say you're a man of your word? But if I could show that Mr. Shamspeare was a liar, you assured me that you would reconsider your decision about the defendant's guilt. Yes, I did say that. And as a man of honor, I'll hold to it. As I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will. Me? Oh, well, yes. Now that we've found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to consider the matter further. Well, if I'm perfectly honest, I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. So if this means you'll recap a few points, that would suit me down to the ground. Oh no, I'm not having any part of this. I want this trial over and done with. In that case, I shall change my leaning. So, Mr. William Shamspeare, if that is your real name, we of the jury demand to know exactly what kind of a man you really are. That's 4 jurors. 4 for not guilty. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Victory! Well, I wish it was that simple. Order! Order! Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say. As a result of the defense's summation examination, the jury's leading has changed. Now only 2 jurors say guilty, whilst 4 say not guilty. I therefore declare this court to be in a state of disaccord, and order the trial to continue. You have spoiled the bouquet, Mr. Shamspeare. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find they are unable to trust you, the victim.
But you, gods, will give us some fault to make us men. So God mend me, I do swear. This gas man speaketh that which concerns him most, naught but gas, naught but thin air. Aye, it burneth bright a while, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul.
Aye, what do you say?
Do I take it, Mr. Shamspeare, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery?
Most heartily, my lord. Hast thou forgot? I am as a seraph, an angel, noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart.
You flowery mouth pompous beanpole, just 'cause I haven't got the evidence yet.
Mr. Shamspeare, if in fact you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, or honest of heart, if you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom. It is my considered opinion that at the present time no other possible culprit of this crime has been identified. All testimony heard by the court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be unreasonable at this stage for me to rule on the case. Oh no. However, in light of the fact that the jury has expressed concern about the fidelity of this witness, I believe it would be inappropriate for this court not to pursue the point further.
Objection!
I assure you, my lord, that would be a waste of the court's time. The gas in this case are unrelated. Juror number 4? Yes. Didn't you say before that although you had no hard evidence to prove this man has been stealing gas, you have strong grounds for suspecting him? That's right, we do. Don't we, worker?
Absolutely, Lady Quimby. Gasman's honor.
Very well then, we will hear your testimony now. You will tell the court precisely why you believe the victim, Mr. William Shamspeare, has been stealing gas.
Yes, my lord, it'd be my pleasure. On the ultimate gas...
If I may, my lord. Go ahead, madam. This worker's testimony may have a significant bearing on the good name of my husband's company. Therefore, I should like to take the stand alongside him in a supervisory role, if you wouldn't mind.
Wahoo! Oh yeah, sweet as honey. Yeah.
Very well. As an exception, I shall honor your request. Thank you, my lord.
You wait till boss gives you an earful. Oh, I was gonna sing. You mark my words.
Sir, you will both testify before the court on the subject of the illegal consumption of the Altamont Gas Company's fuel. Yes, is that clear, my good man?
Clear as Altamont gas, my lady. Which is the clearest in the world.
Do you think the gas has gone to his head, Mrs. Sato? I think the man is just a very dedicated employee, Mr. Naruhodo.
I'm glad to be the company's East End branch investigator and meter money collection agent. Ultimate gas meters accept throw penny bits. Each coin giving customers about 2 hours of gorgeous gas.
And yet, the meter in Mr. Shamspeare's room didn't have a single coin in it. That meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with, though. The collection agent has the only key.
Somehow he's using all the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, what is?
Oh. Pray forgive the discourtesy. The irrelevance of this testimony caused me to turn to my hollow chalice. What do you mean by that remark, Lord Van Zeeks? There's a mustachio Japanese poisons a gangling excuse for an actor or identity. That is all that should concern this court. And yet now we must listen to this abhorrence. Ha! Clearly what separates the vast British Empire and your Eastern Island nation is more than geographical distance. But this could turn out to be crucial testimony. The cross-examination must go ahead. Do what you will. Lord Van Zieks appears to be in a violent mood. Yeah, he does. An attempted poisoning and an incidence of gas theft with no supporting evidence. It's true that they would appear completely unrelated at first glance, but I wonder. The truth tends to be buried in the most unusual places. And the first step in uncovering it will be to establish just who and what this man really is.
I'm proud to be the company's East End branch investigator and mere money collection agent. Hold it!
So does that mean you enter people's houses in order to empty their gas meters?
That I do. And to try to catch people when they're in. Then I ask permission to come inside and do my business.
Does that mean you've been into Mr. Natsuma's room before, as well as that of Mr. Shamspeare?
Well, now, interesting you should bring that up, because I couldn't believe how little money was in his meter. I mean, how the pair of them survived the winter is beyond me. It really is.
Knowing Mr. Natsuma, he probably spends all his gas money on books. And then when he's finished reading them, he probably burns them for warmth. You will kindly reiterate your statement about the gas meters themselves, Mr. Meterman.
Not much to say, really, but as you wish. All of my gas meters except threepenny bits. Each coin given customer is about 2 hours of gorgeous gas.
So all London houses that have a gas supply are fitted with these gas meters, are they? They're the latest model, the height of technology, developed by our company, Altamont Gas. And anyone who uses our gas will have one of these meters in their property, yes. So if a 3-pence coin gives 2 hours of gas, most people would use about 3 coins in a night.
A bit more than that, usually. If they have both gas lights and a gas stove, that is.
Thinking about it, Suzuki-san doesn't have a fireplace in that room of his, does he? Some people still choose to use candles, of course, and only have gas for heating. Ah yes, I do remember seeing candles in Mr. Natsumi's room, actually. And how does the money in the meter get back to you at the gas company?
Every day's gasman like me visit properties on the gas supply and empty the meters of coins.
I must say, the design and manufacture of the new meter cost the company an awful lot of money. But happily, it did put a stop to people not paying their dues, for the most part.
Because they have to pay in advance, you mean?
Yes, exactly right. And yet, the meter in Mrs. Shamspeare's room didn't have a single coin in it.
Hold it!
Out of interest, how long has this been going on?
Weeks and weeks! He's been pinching gas off us for ages.
And you've examined the meter in Mrs. Shamspeare's room, I take it? Naturally, we took it off the wall and went over it with a fine-tooth comb.
And found nothing suspicious at all, I presume.
No, I'm afraid we didn't. Which is exactly why I demanded a new type of meter to be produced. One with an indestructible lock. The Shamspeare Special. That sounds like it would have cost an awful lot of 3-penny pieces. But even after all that, the rascal's meter was still empty.
I'll never forget the humiliation. When I opened up the money box and found a bear. You what? I said. You what? And the look on his face. That smarmy smile of his. I pulled the meter straight off the wall and took it back to the office. But you know what? Nothing. Not a trace of meat jammed anywhere. Not a single sign. What's happening to my son as a result? Down by the chain, that's what.
A life-threatening situation in a number of ways. Incidentally, what became of that meter?
Nothing became of it. I still got it.
Oh.
Right here.
No wonder they call you Meter Man. I think it would be prudent for the court to sequester this item while the trial is ongoing. Sure, why not? Definitely. Although at first glance, there doesn't appear to be anything unusual about it. Let's move this along, shall we? Continue with your testimony. So I would say it has as much value as the contents of that meter. Ooh! The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with, though, and the collection agent has the only key. There's only one key for all of your meters? Well, in truth, there's another key in the company vault at our main office. But even if someone had somehow managed to get hold of a key, we'd know if the coin box has been opened. Oh, how is that? I came up with a rather clever way to expose any little shenanigans as it happens. Would you care to explain? Well now, in order to empty a meter, you have to unlock the padlock and remove the cover. But when I close the cover again, I stick a little beeswax seal on it, you see? A seal? Like the sort of thing you put on an envelope, you mean? Something like that, yeah. Basically, you can't remove the cover again without breaking the seal. Now, in the case of Mr. Shamspeare's meter, there were no coins inside at all, as I said. But the seal hadn't broken either. So that would mean Mr. Shamspeare somehow managed to steal coins from inside the meter without opening it. It would seem so, but that would be impossible. Somehow he's using all the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny. If that's not thieving, what is? How do you know that he's been using gas, though? Well, now, since I started investigating this bloke, I've been to his room more than a few times. And on every single occasion, his lamps have been blazing, and his stove pounding. It's the middle of winter, and he still turns to me, sweat dripping down his cheeks, and says, "Get thee to a nunnery." Hamlet, indeed. I could bring this bloke's neck. I get all hot in the collar, but still... Every time I open up that flaming meter, it's empty. He's robbing me of my salary too. What's wrong with the world? Where's the justice? But how can Mr. Shamspeare possibly be stealing the money? I don't understand. The simple explanation is right before your eyes. What? A toast to you eventually realizing that the gas man could be an accomplice. You what? Good lord, eminently plausible indeed. Well, what do you have to say for yourself? Oh please, Lady Quimby, I'm a faithful worker. Besides, if the money us gasmen collect doesn't tally with how much gas has been used, you doc are paid about the same amount. So you'd be stealing money only to have the same amount taken from your wages. Clearly that makes no sense. Perhaps it's a case of losing the battle to win the war? No, I'm not gonna start up that hornet's nest. If I went stealing from the company, I'd be finished. It would seem there's no evidence to support the claims of Seafree made against the victim, because Mr. William Shamspeare is innocent. Pray forgive me if that shattered some illusion my learned Nipponese friend was clearly under. I certainly didn't expect to uncover another crime that looks like it's been taking place in the very same room. According to the testimony, it's only the meter in Mr. Shamspeare's room that's under suspicion. It does seem as though perhaps it has nothing to do with the incident involving Mr. Natsume. I know, it does seem that way. But the fact is, since I've been practicing law in England, I feel like I've encountered this at least once already. Cases that are interlinked. Oh. It might seem that two cases have nothing to do with one another at first, but in fact, they're intimately connected. Yes, we have experienced that before, haven't we? I wonder if this is another instance. Perhaps, but we can't be sure of that yet. If the Altamont Gas Company has been investigating Mr. Shamspeare so earnestly. There must be something to it. But then, how has he been managing to steal their gas? Alright. So let's take a look at the gas meter. See if there's anything suspicious. That's a very sturdy looking padlock, isn't it? And the money box is sealed with the beeswax too. So if Mr. Sholmes were to get up to any mischief, he'd be found out immediately. Mr. Naruhodo, mischief of that kind is not the sort of thing that Mr. Sholmes would... You know you didn't finish that sentence, don't you? Well, anyway. It's understandable that the gas company would want to safeguard the money that's rightfully theirs. But it does feel a little over the top, perhaps, isn't it? Is there something behind it? Above it? Oh! What the? Have you spotted something, Mr. Naruhodo? Just here, there's a little hole. Do you see? Goodness, you're right. I wouldn't have noticed. It's not a very neat hole, is it? Not professionally made, I'd say. So you think it might have been opened up by Mr. Shamspeare? Possibly. It seems the people at Altamont Gas must have missed it. Well, it certainly seems to go all the way through to the inside. Yeah, but there's no way a coin would fit through here. That is true, but even so, it seems more than a little suspicious. Okay, here we go. Anything else? Ba-bum, 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 ba-ba-ba. That's it, I think. Oh, he dips a little disc in the green soap, and then he cuts a piece of the soap in the shape of the seal, and then puts it on the lock or something. Nah, I don't know. But I think we found a way, right? The meter doesn't appear to have been tampered with. There we go.
Objection!
Lady Altamont, I'm afraid to say that this meter clearly does show signs of having been tampered with. What?
Get away! I've been over and over that thing. I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with it.
In that case, what do you have to say about the small hole that's been made at the base of the coin box?
Hole? What?
You're right. You're quite right. There is a little hole there. The meters aren't supposed to have that. None of the others do. In other words, we can assume that Mr. Shamspeare secretly opened up this hole himself. Yes, I wouldn't be at all surprised. But why?
Yeah, why? I mean, it's tiny. You couldn't get a farthing thing through that.
Lady Altamont, I wonder if you could give the court some more details about your meter design? What sort of details? Well, what I'd specifically like to know is... how does the meter tell the difference between different coins? What do you mean? Well, for example, if someone were to put in a 1-penny coin, that wouldn't work, presumably, would it? No, of course not. So, how does the meter know that the coin has been fed with a 3-penny coin? Ah, I see what you're getting at now. The meter tells coins apart by their shape and size, which includes their thickness. A 3-penny bit is about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, you see. Other coins just won't fit. Ah, I see. It's clearly been very well thought out. The witness will amend her formal testimony with that information in case it is pertinent. As you wish, my lord. The meter is designed for coins the exact diameter and thickness of a threepenny bit. Nothing else will fit. Oh no, the discs are... He makes fake threepenny bits? But conversely then, it would seem that anything matching a 3p coin exactly in terms of diameter and thickness could equally well be used. Would that be true? Well, yes, in a way. The weight comes into it to a certain extent as well.
We've thought of that, though. Anyway, if I find any fake coins inside that coin box when I empty the meter, the contract says the customer has to pay 100 times the amount they diddled us a fine. We live for moments like that. Us gasmen do. Live for them.
It would seem the gas company has thought of everything.
Wahoo! Hurrah for the gas! Hurrah for cash! Ultimate all the way.
That's quite enough of that. Remind me, how big are threepenny bits? About 3/4 of an inch across. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Is this 2 centimeters measurement significant? Or perhaps there's some other aspect of the meter's construction that we should be focusing on? Yeah, you may be right. Perhaps I should try a different tack here. Like asking about whether the meter can be dismantled, for example. Sure, go ahead. How can the meter be dismantled? Dismantled? Yeah, given that there are no signs of it having been forced. I'm wondering if perhaps rather than being broken open, it might have been taken apart? Well, yes, that does make some sense. The padlocks are made by a first-class locksmith from the finest quality steel, and the meter box itself is made from plate steel as well, welded shut to ensure it can't be opened again. I can assure you it's quite impossible to dismantle it.
Wahoo! Yeah! Nothing leads from an ultimate meter. No coins, no gas, no nothing.
I see. The witness will amend her formal testimony with that information in case it is pertinent. As you wish, my lord. All joints on the meter are welded shut, and the lock is made from solid steel. There is no way to dismantle it. Has anyone ever tried?
Oh yeah, they've tried, but they've all given up before long.
After all, if they actually broke the meter, the company would be able to take legal action. Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Is its welded steel construction significant? Or perhaps there's some other aspect of the meter's construction that we should be focusing on? Yeah, you may be right. Perhaps I should try a different tack here. Like asking about how the meter differentiates coins, for example. Alright. Let's see. I think I know where to go with this. Now, do I present the soap?
Objection.
No. Okay. Maybe I... Okay. I might have jumped the shark here, but...
I think perhaps that itself is a contradiction.
Indeed. Time for a rethink. Okay. That's gotta be it, though.
Hold it.
Let's keep going. Conversely... Leave it? Let us return to the testimony. Of course, my lord. As I was saying, ultimate meters are unsurpassed. They can't be manipulated.
Somehow he's using all the flaming gas he wants without paying a penny.
Oh. Oh, we're back here. Okay. It's gotta be it. It's gotta be it. It's gotta be the soap. Oh, look at this bar of soap. There's a circle depression on the side, about 2 centimeters across. Or 3/4 of an inch. Do you think? We did find the soap at the scene, didn't we? Yes. Yes, there were 2 bars on that little ledge just outside the window, so we took this one. But I'm sure that when we first found it, there was some sort of reddish medallion in the middle there. I remember it clearly. Yeah, but there's no sign of it now. Where could it have gone? Yeah. Really, I needed to examine this thing a 3rd time? I know it's the soap. You know it's the soap. Everyone knows it's the soap, but okay.
Objection.
There we go. Let me just confirm something here. If the diameter and thickness were to be correct, the meter would accept any object as if it were a threepenny bit. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. Well, by something of a coincidence, while we were investigating in Mr. Shamspeare's room, we found a particular item that matches the dimensions perfectly. Something the same size as a threepenny bit. What was it? The item in question is this.
What? Have you been inhaling gas? That's a bar of soap.
It certainly looks nothing like a threepenny bit, I must say. It looks like I'm gonna have to point out exactly what I mean here. What's so important about the soap is this part here.
Got it.
You have to turn over the soap to see what I mean. Are you referring to that round depression in the middle of the soap there? That's right, a depression that's approximately 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Or in other words, almost exactly the same size as a threepenny bit.
Get away!
Does anyone here present have in their possession a threepenny bit? Quickly now, hand over your coins, ladies and gentlemen. It sounds rather like a highway robbery, doesn't it?
Thanks to a kind member of the public in the gallery, I have here a threepenny bit. Now, to see if it fits.
My word, it couldn't be more snug. Yes, as I suspected. This, without a doubt, is a vital clue to explain how the Ultimate Gas Company has been defrauded. Well, I don't believe it. Ah. So, your assertion amounts to what? That some inferior bar of soap has a tentative connection to the theft of gas? Yes. The depression in the soap was clearly made by a threepenny bit. I must concur at least that pushing a coin with some force into a poor quality bar of soap such as this is a remarkably simple way of replicating the coin's shape. And then you could use, well, some melted wax or something to pour into the mold. You could make fake coins in no time. This brings all the pieces of the puzzle together. It's the method Mr. Shamspeare has been using to steal the gas. That's the missing link. And now, if I follow the chain of thought, it's gonna bring me to a new explanation for what happened that nobody's considered yet. But this is all nonsense. If the man had been making fake coins, my worker here would have found them when he emptied the meter. Quite true, Lady Aldermount. In the absence of some black magic that could make them disappear. I see. That's what we're dealing with, is it? There's one form of black magic that could cause the fake coins to disappear into thin air, yes. Exactly. And the meter here gives it away. What on earth? There are remnants of the magical method used visible on the gas meter taken from the victim's room. If that is your assertion, Gansu, the defense will identify these remnants for their court at once. Where on the meter can the remnants of the method used to make the fake coins disappear can be seen? Right about here.
Got it!
We found this bar of soap at the scene of the crime, just outside the victim's window.
Outside?
Yeah, outside, where you yourself, Mr. Meterman, were loitering in the freezing winter air. That's where we found the soap.
I get it.
That's right. The answer, of course, is ice.
Did you say ice?
Mr. Shamspeare has been leaving soaps like this outside his window each evening, filled with water. After a night outside in the bitter cold, the water is completely frozen solid the next morning.
Then he takes his fake coins of ice and feeds them into the gas meter, giving him light and warmth in spades. As his room becomes very comfortably warm, the ice now inside the meter's coin box melts,
turning back into water and draining harmlessly away through the small hole made in the underside of the meter. That is how, without leaving any evidence of his wrongdoing, this man has been stealing Altamont gas.
Just like that? So simply... Is he trying to make us look like idiots? He's been fooling us all with some bars of soap and some water?
I'm afraid so, madam.
I don't believe it. It can't be true. Do you have any idea how much money we spent to develop that new meter? And now you have the audacity to suggest that a bit of soap and some water can render it totally useless? I'm fairly sure I didn't design it.
Evidence.
Sorry? I want evidence. If you're going to stand there and tell me our meters are rubbish, I want some proof.
She's very good at enforcing accountability, isn't she? Very well, Lady Altamont. If you'd like evidence, I'll provide it.
What?
Mr. Naruhodo, are you saying you do actually have evidence to support this theory? I didn't notice a trace of something that bothered me a little at the time. And I have a feeling that this theory we've come up with now could explain it. The piece of evidence that substantiates the theory about how Mr. Shamspeare has been stealing gas is... yeah, this spot here. Of course.
Take that!
This is a photograph of the scene at the point when the victim was discovered, taken by Inspector Gregson. And it clearly shows the remnants of the crime carried out by Mr. Shamspeare.
What remnants?
Here you can see the gas meter on the wall in Mr. Shamspeare's room. Now, look closely at the floorboards directly underneath the meter. What is that? Some kind of grubby stain? Almost certainly, it is a water stain resulting from the liquid that drained out of the hole made in the meter. If one coin gives around 2 hours of gas usage and the occupant was heating his room in all his waking hours, we can imagine he would have used around 10 of his fake coins each day. The melting ice inside the meter's coin box would have been dripping out almost constantly, leaving a stain on the floor. This is awful. And there's further evidence, too. Mr. Shamspeare slumped over his table, apparently having consumed strychnine. And right there next to him is a bar of soap broken in half.
You're right. It would appear to me, then, Counsel, that the man was eating the soap, was he? Pardon me for disagreeing with your lordship, but... certainly not.
He didn't beat about the bush there, did he? In truth, Mr. Shamspeare was found with a fork in his hand.
A meal of soap is sounding increasingly likely, Lord. Do you mean to say he was using that fork to...
Yes. To extract a frozen coin from the bar of soap. But the bar broke in half. So perhaps it didn't go very well.
Good gracious.
And he froze to death.
Lord Van Zeeks.
I was throwing my hand up with despair, and happened to catch my hallowed bottle on the way. Pray, forgive my maladroit mistake. Maladroit mistake. What is the meaning of this, Kazu? Allow me to pose my learned friend a question. What exactly did you establish with your most recent cross-examination?
Well, that Mr. William Shamspeare is a liar and a thief. In other words, that his testimony is unreliable. That's it. That's exactly it.
Very well, let us assume the man is a liar. Now allow me to pose another question. What possible difference does that make?
Well,
we know that suicide can be discounted. Scotland Yard's investigation revealed no sign of another vessel that contained poison. On the night of the question, there were no visitors to the room except the accused. The young gasman's testimony, which we have no reason to doubt, has confirmed that. Furthermore, the only possible way the poison could have entered the victim's body is via the tea. The court has seen no evidence whatsoever that suggests otherwise. Even if William Shamspeare is the liar you claimed him to be, these facts have been objectively established. There's no escaping it. Therefore, in light of these facts, the prosecution calls for immediate adjudication.
what? Uh-oh.
Order! Order! Well, counsel, how does the defense respond?
Mr. Naruhodo. What was the point of that last cross-examination? Did it actually get us anywhere? Or did it make no difference at all, like Lord Van Zeeks is saying? Sure, why not? No, this isn't over. The defense will not rest.
What?
But, counsel, you've successfully explained everything. You've identified and substantiated the unscrupulous method employed by Mr. Shamspeare to consume gas. What more is there to discuss? Lord Van Zeeks just highlighted 3 facts in order to make his point, but contrary to what he would have the court believe, not all of them have been objectively established at all.
What are you trying to say, my Newponese friend?
At least one of those so-called facts is an assumption made due to a lack of evidence. But the situation has changed now following the cross-examination of the latest witnesses to take the stand.
Don't be absurd. What is this nonsense?
Yes, when you bring everything we've learned so far together and consider it as a whole, it's clear. There's a question that we now need to reconsider, namely... These are all 3 good points, though. But I'm gonna get penalized if I pick the wrong one. Let's go for the one I'm leaning strongly on the most, which is this one. What if it was somebody else entirely who poisoned the victim?
If that is your assertion, by all means, tell us who it was.
Well...
Well, who was this mysterious third party, Kazu?
I think it's a little too soon to be naming names, my lord.
On the contrary, it's a little too late, much like your defense.
But we've shown so much. The situation has changed, I'm sure of it. Mr. Shamspeare was trying to make more ice coins on the night in question. I really feel like that's a clue here. That it's pointing us towards something else. There's a question that we now need to reconsider, namely, We've all been led to believe that the strychnine poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspeare was in the tea brought to him by Mr. Natsume, but that's conjecture at best.
Objection!
The victim has testified that nothing else passed his lips that night. There is no other possibility. And since there was no trace of the tea left at the scene, it couldn't be tested for traces of the poison. As I said, the situation has changed. Because in fact, some of Mr. Natsume's tea was left at the scene. And a particular piece of evidence proves it.
Objection!
A ludicrous claim. Scotland Yard detectives investigated the scene exhaustively. What evidence are you suggesting they missed? The defense has made a bold claim indeed. Very well, Kazuo. Present your proof. What evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea? The stain.
Take that!
What exactly is this piece of evidence supposed to reveal about Mr. Natsume's tea, Kazu? Well, I suspect it may possibly be related to the tea in some small way, if we dig deep enough. Then you will be digging for a long time indeed, my learned friend. Oh. Even at the bottom of the deepest chasm, you will find no sense in that absurd assertion. Wow. Oh, sometimes I wish I could disappear down a deep chasm to escape his deep sarcasm. Then I advise you to think more deeply before you answer again this time. What evidence from the scene of the crime can tell us about the nature of the defendant's tea? I guess the teacups? I guess. Let's go with that. And there we go. What exactly is this piece of evidence supposed to reveal about Mr. Natsume's tea, Kazu? What? Hold on, what? Well, I suspect it may possibly... What? Oh, how is that? Sir, please. Okay. It's not the teacup, it's something else. If it's not the teacup, then what is it? Is it the bar of soap? The medical report?
Take that!
What exactly is this piece of evidence supposed to reveal about Mr. Natsume's tea, Kazu? I don't know. Let's continue. Oh, okay. No. I mean, this seems to be the right path because it's not resetting me to the start, so I seem to be on the right path. I just need to find the right answer. The nature of the defendant's tea. The soap.
Take that!
He put some soap in it. Good gracious! The soap, again? The same bar the victim used to fashion his coins of ice? Oh, he used his tea to make the coin? Something about when we first found this bar of soap at the scene yesterday. It's more bars of soap. Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window? I'm quite certain that when we originally stumbled upon the bars of soap, there was actually a frozen coin in each bar. So you discovered the gas thief's coin factory. Fascinating. In a way, yes, but there's more. The coins we found in the soap at the time weren't normal ice. There was something strange about them, you mean? Exactly, something very obviously strange. They were red. The ice was red? No, you mean... That's right, it's obvious to me now. The fake coins in the soap were made from frozen tea. Why? I would remind the court of a statement made by Mr. Natsume earlier in this trial.
That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I was at Mr. Shamspeare's room as a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I bought bottled water especially to make it. And this is the result. Never will I touch a tea again. Never. Ah, yes, I believe there had been a snowfall that day. It was particularly cold. Sadly, on such occasions, the poorly constructed water mains in the East End are prone to freezing. So on the night in question, Mr. Shamspeare, having no running water to use, was forced to use the tea brought by Mr. Natsume in order to make his fake coins. My word! There were 2 bars of soap on the window ledge when my judicial assistant and I investigated the scene. That's right, and we only borrowed 1 of them. Which means that even as we speak, some of the defendant's tea is still present at the scene of the crime. Frozen solid in a bar of soap outside Mr. Shamspeare's window. Extraordinary! Earlier today, Inspector Gregson informed the court that even if 1 drop of tea remained, Scotland Yard would be able to analyze it for poison. As such, we are now in a position to prove or disprove what has until... As such, we are now in a position to prove or disprove what has until now been mere conjecture. By finding out for sure whether or not Mr. Natsume's tea actually contains strychnine at all. Ah, you smug Nipponese! My lord, we cannot do the defendant the injustice of passing judgment now. The police should be dispatched to recover the remaining bar of soap from the scene at once, and the defense requests a thorough analysis of the frozen tea embedded in it, to determine whether or not it contains any poison. Bailiff? Bailiff? Instruct the police to attend the scene at once. Yes, my lord, understood. It would seem we have no choice but to suspend these proceedings for the time being. I trust you have no objection, Lord Van Zeeks? None, my lord. Scotland Yard will recover the tea from the scene and carry out the requisite tests immediately. The trial will resume at the same hour tomorrow. The prosecution and the defense may conduct further investigations as appropriate in the interim. Yes, my lord. Well, we managed to scrape through there somehow. Thank you, Kansas. Court is adjourned until tomorrow. To be continued. Farewell.